Let's jump right in. Imagine this for a second. You're lying in bed next to the person you married. The room is dark, the TV is still running in the background, and suddenly you realize something terrifying. They haven't touched you in weeks. Not because they're angry, not because you had some massive fight, but because somewhere along the way, they emotionally checked out. Quietly, silently, without you even noticing. And the scariest part? They still say good morning, they still pay bills, still sit across from you at dinner, still sleep beside you every night, but emotionally, they're already gone.
This is not a story about cheating.
It's not about abuse.
It's not even about hatred. This is the story of how constant criticism can slowly destroy love without either person realizing it until it's just too late. This is Lauren and Michael's story. Section 1. Before the erosion. Back in the beginning, they were the kind of couple people envied. Seriously, they were effortless together. Road trips with no destination, grocery store dates at midnight, dancing in the kitchen while pasta boiled over on the stove. Michael used to leave stupid little sticky notes around the apartment just to make Lauren laugh. Tiny things like "don't forget you're cute" stuck right to the bathroom mirror. And Lauren loved him for it. Michael wasn't rich. He wasn't some alpha male fantasy. He was just safe, warm, consistent. The kind of man who remembered exactly how she took her coffee and always texted her when she got home safely. For years, that was enough. But then, life happened. Stress happened. Work got heavier. Bills got tighter. Responsibilities multiplied. And without realizing it, Lauren slowly stopped seeing Michael as a partner and started seeing him as a source of frustration. At first, it seemed totally harmless. "Why do you always leave dishes in the sink? You forgot again? Can you do anything without me reminding you?" Little comments, tiny frustrations, completely normal on the surface, and Michael would apologize every single time. That's the dangerous part about good people. They absorb criticism quietly. At first, Michael genuinely tried harder. He cleaned more, helped more, double-checked everything. But no matter what he fixed, there always seemed to be another complaint waiting right around the corner. One night, he surprised Lauren by cooking dinner after her exhausting shift at work. Candles lit, music playing softly. He spent over an hour trying to make everything perfect. Lauren walked in, looked around, and instead of saying thank you, she sighed. "You used the wrong pan. This one scratches too easily." That was it. Just one sentence. But something in Michael's face changed for half a second. Not anger, not sadness exactly, more like exhaustion. Like his brain quietly asked itself, "Will I ever be enough here?" But Lauren didn't notice, because criticism becomes addictive when you convince yourself you're just communicating standards. Section 2. The silent disappearance. Weeks turn into months, and slowly Michael started disappearing emotionally, not physically, emotionally. He stopped sharing random thoughts during car rides, stopped sending funny videos, stopped reaching for a hand while watching movies. Conversations became purely functional. "Did you pay the internet bill? What time is your appointment? Can you grab milk?" That was their marriage now. Just a business partnership with shared groceries. And here's the truly terrifying part. Lauren didn't notice the absence of love at first because Michael never complained. He never yelled, never exploded, never cheated. He just got quieter. People think relationships die during screaming matches. Most of the time, they actually die in silence. Section 3. The quiet confrontation. One Saturday afternoon, Lauren was getting ready for dinner with friends. She walked into the bedroom wearing a black dress she hadn't worn in years. Back in the old days, Michael would have looked at her like she was the only woman on earth. But this time, nothing. He glanced up from his phone and simply said, "You almost ready?" That tiny moment hit her harder than any argument ever had, because suddenly she realized something horrifying. She missed being wanted. And for the first time in years, panic started creeping in. So she tried harder. She bought lingerie, planned date nights, tried initiating affection again, but every attempt felt strangely hollow, like trying to restart a fire after the room had already turned cold. Then came the night everything finally broke. Michael had fallen asleep on the couch, his phone buzzed beside him. Lauren normally never checked his phone, never felt the need, but something about the distance between them lately scared her. So she looked, not because she suspected cheating, because she was desperate for proof that he still cared about anything at all. The message was from his older brother. "You okay lately? You don't seem like yourself." Michael's reply was short, painfully short. "I think I'm finally learning that peace is quieter than love." Lauren stared at that sentence for what felt like hours. Peace is quieter than love. That wasn't a man who was angry. That was a man who had emotionally surrendered. And suddenly, every ignored hug, every sarcastic comment, every eye roll, every "you forgot again," every tiny criticism came rushing back into her mind, like a train she couldn't stop. The next morning, she confronted him. And Michael didn't defend himself, didn't yell, didn't accuse her of anything. He just looked tired, deeply tired. "You never seemed happy with me anymore," he said quietly. Lauren immediately pushed back. "That's not true." But Michael just nodded slowly, like he'd already had this argument alone in his head 100 times before. "You stopped talking to me like someone you loved," he continued. Everything became correction. Every conversation felt like another test I was failing. Lauren's eyes filled instantly, because deep down, she knew he was right. Michael leaned back in his chair and stared at the floor. "You know what the worst part is?" he asked softly. "I kept waiting for the version of you that used to laugh with me to come back." That line destroyed her, because she realized something nobody warns you about in relationships. Contempt doesn't arrive all at once. It grows in tiny moments, in the sighs, the eye rolls, the constant corrections, sarcastic comments disguised as jokes, until eventually the person beside you stops feeling loved and starts feeling tolerated, and nobody can survive that forever. Section 4. Death by Repetition. For the next few weeks, Lauren genuinely tried changing. She became softer, more patient, more affectionate. But emotional damage is strange. Once someone spends years feeling unwanted, they stop trusting sudden love. Michael appreciated her efforts. He really did, but something fundamental had shifted inside him. One night, Lauren finally broke down crying in the kitchen. "I miss us," she whispered. Michael looked at her for a long time before answering, and what he said next would stay with her forever. "I think you miss how much I loved you," he said gently. "But you stopped loving me in a way I could actually feel." Silence, heavy silence. The kind that forces you to confront truths you've been avoiding for years. And that's the brutal lesson hidden inside stories like this. Love rarely dies from one giant mistake. It usually dies from repetition, repeated dismissal, repeated criticism, repeated emotional distance, until eventually one person stops trying, because trying hurts more than giving up. And here's the most dangerous part. When someone finally becomes emotionally calm after fighting for love for too long, that calmness feels peaceful to them. That's why the end of a relationship often looks so quiet. No screaming, no betrayal, no dramatic exit. Just one person slowly realizing they no longer have the energy to beg for affection anymore. And once someone reaches that point, bringing them back becomes incredibly difficult. Because attraction can survive stress, it can survive hardship, it can even survive arguments, but it struggles to survive feeling constantly unwanted. So before we end this story, there's one uncomfortable question worth asking yourself honestly. When the people you love speak to you, do they feel appreciated or do they feel evaluated? Because sometimes the person drifting away from you isn't leaving because they stopped loving you. They're leaving because loving you started hurting more than loneliness.